people who've dated a psycho. What incident made you aware that you were dating a psycho? When he told me. Had been dating this guy a while and I thought things were going really well. I'll never forget the day because he took me to see Aladdin. We get back to my place and everything's normal. We're conversing and suddenly he gets this weird look in his eyes. He says, "I can't see you anymore. I'm afraid I might hurt you." I'm thinking hurt. Like cheat on me. You know, psychologically. I kind of laughed and told him not to worry, I was a grown up and whatever happened we could try and work it out. His voice changed and he looked even worse and said, "You don't understand. I've been having these dreams where I hurt you. I mean really hurt you." Then he jumped off the couch and ran out the front door. Never saw him again. Never tried to call him cause it really shook me up. I guess I should be glad it stopped there. He just seemed so normal up to that point. This is honestly just incredibly sad. I had a seizure. And when I came out of it he was standing above me. Yelling at me to stop being a f-king retarded, you stupid bitch, and this is f-king embarrassing. Then he dragged me up to my feet. Slammed me against the wall. And bellowed at me to never do that again. Yes. When in the shower he casually mentioned he had 2 kids, dating for a month. Was 14 years older than me, not 5, and his kid's mom had a restraining order on him. Before this he was just a slightly eccentric hippie with a kind heart and a love for spontaneity and bike trips. He ended up pouring patchouli oil all over my door. It's a love oil. Leaving cursed voodoo eggs on my porch and sabotaged my bike, so when I went down a steep hill the brakes fell off and the bike crumbled. He had just returned it. This one is easy. She made out with her cousin, threatened to kill herself, and then said she was really a werewolf. Wanted me to text him my work schedule and then would call me on the work phone and wait in the parking lot for me to come out of work. Wanted to know how much was in each paycheck. One time I texted him my work schedule and he misread it and freaked out non-stop for 6 hours searching for me, called my whole family and was about to alert the police. It was his own fault, he misread what I had texted him. I broke up with him in public because he would not believe it when I broke up with him in private. It was finally to the point where random people who were nearby were like, "You just got dumped." Dated my psycho for about 8 months. Used to like to roleplay. And all that. She had a thing with being tied up. And so one night she asked to reverse roles. I was okay with that. Except after she handcuffed me. And tied my ankles to the posts. She gagged me with a bandana. Got dressed and left me there. Came back an hour later with 2 guys and f-ked both of them in front of me several times. When she finally untied me and I was able to speak, I asked her what the FCK was that? She said she knew I was cheating on her with a girl at work. I wasn't, and that was her way of paying me back. I moved out the next day. Probably when she spent an entire night sobbing and begging me to propose to her. Screaming for answers as to why I would not propose to her. And threatening to kill herself if I didn't. Semicolon. Oh, also, we were 17. Went out to eat at Buffalo Wild Wings one night with a few friends and I told her about this. See a couple of her friends come in and sit at a table near us and they never ordered anything. They just drank water and sat there. Occasionally glancing at us. After we're done eating we walk outside and sure enough I see my girlfriend's ex, now for obvious reasons, car in the parking lot. Her driver's seat was leaned all the way back and I could just barely see that she was in the driver's seat trying to hide. So I'm already kinda weirded out at this point, so me and my friends leave and as soon as we back out, sure enough her car starts and backs out as well. She began to follow us through the parking lot. At this point I'm texting her asking her what's going on, but she kept saying she was with her mom hanging out. Needless to say I ended things shortly after that. Stopped in the middle of riding me. To get off and punch me in the cock. No explanation. Just laughter. The time she overdosed on her medication and spent 3 days in a coma because she thought it was a safer alternative to being killed and eaten by me. A time traveler. Oh. So actually crazy then. One day I woke up to find all the men missing from my Facebook friends list, including cousins and uncles. My ex didn't think I'd notice. So you noticed they were gone? Then you are paying attention to other men. I knew it. I'm in med school and she threatened to stab my hand so that I could never do surgery in the future. Didn't really understand how unhealthy she was until after our breakup. She proceeded to key WH-ray into the side of my car about a week later because she assumed I had already started seeing other women. She tracked down every single person I know on Facebook, including family members and the CEO of my company, to send them a fairly unflattering and risque registered sign picture. The picture also came with a page-long story of how I couldn't be trusted, as I beat her, up-hit her, stolen money from her, etc. Had to get a restraining order and take her to court over trying to sabotage my life career. It was super messed up and I genuinely hope she got some help. Thankfully, I haven't heard from her in almost 4 years. And I now live on the opposite side of the country. My friend found a psycho. Met her at the bar and ended up taking her home. She decided it should be more than just a one-night stand and suggested a date the following weekend. He obliges. Their first date was meeting her parents, where she told them how they were going to spend the rest of their lives together, where they were going to buy a house, the names of their 2 children etc etc. He dated her for about a month and after they broke up, she started stalking his friends. Not him. His friends. She'd somehow find out where we would be and threaten us with lawsuits for ruining her life. She was just manipulative. Should have listened to her friend who warned me not to date her. But I did. Twice. Just all sorts of stupid shit to get me to buy her things. When I finally just closed her out of my life, she threatened to get her dad involved. She was in her mid-20s. Come on. Then she bragged about using me for money to mutual friends. I don't generally hold grudges. But for her, I made an exception. He invited a bunch of people over to hang out by his fire pit one evening so I could meet his friends. Cute. I managed to hit it off with a few of his guy friends. Same taste in movies. etc. No flirting whatsoever. Cute. As the last person was leaving, he and I were standing in the backyard by the gate. Cute. He grabbed my by the belt loop and pulled me towards him. Cute. I thought he wanted a hug. Cute. He didn't. Turns out he was unhappy that I hit it off with his friends because now they might steal me from him. What? But this was all my fault. Again. What? Cute. He had a large stick he had pulled from the fire, maybe about an inch diameter, in his hand. Cute. He wasn't pulling me close. Cute. He was pulling my pants away so he could brand me with the still red hot stick I hadn't noticed in a place no one would see. I still have the scar. But I don't have him. He'd get out his guns and, with the safety on, point them at me and go bang. And when I'd jump, he'd laugh and say, "That'd be funny if the safety was off. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it?" And then the next day he'd gaslight me and tell me he didn't do anything of the sort the night before. He was the king of gaslighting. Got to the point where I was seriously doubting my own sanity because he would deny everything. We were riding the train home from a date. I look over and she's logging into her ex-boyfriend's Facebook account. I asked her what she was doing and she straight up told me that she was logging into her ex-boyfriend's Facebook account. When I asked why, she said, "I'm just checking up on him. I want to make sure he's okay. He never changed his password." Her checking up on him became reading through not just his statuses but also his private messages. I asked why she couldn't just look at his profile normally. She said he blocked me. When I asked why she couldn't just text him if it was that big of a deal, she said he blocked her number too. I had so many more questions. But she started getting pissed off and defensive and I still had a long train ride home. Why didn't she unblock herself? Woke up one morning and she told me that she kept having dreams where I was dead. Then said the kicker. And I wake up happy. Engagement over shortly after that. Edit. Many people saying. That means she was happy you were alive. Done. UHH. No. That's not what she meant. I shaved my vag and he accused me of cheating because of it. My ex-girlfriend would wake up in the middle of the night and wake me up just to accuse me of cheating on her. Let me guess. Convinced my entire friend group that I'm a sociopath and got addicted to cocaine right after breaking up with me. Also became a dealer and tried to get one of my friends addicted to crack cocaine for a bit of money. She also found out an autistic guy was in love with her, so she started flirting with him for his money and now he can pay for college. I took her and her 4-year-old boy to a carnival. And the kid won a pair of goldfish. They were in a clear plastic bag like pet stores use. The boy was super excited. On the way to the car. Without saying a word. She slammed the bag on the pavement. Bursting it. And then stomped on the flopping fish. The boy was instantly hysterical. When I asked her why she did it, she replied, "They probably would have died anyway." Then she called a few weeks later to ask why I had not called her. Holy shit. An ex of mine was pretty controlling and showing psycho behavior for a long time, but I largely passed over it thinking I was happy. I wasn't. She then got too drunk one night. Hit me to the point I had bruises and blamed it on me the next day. Noped out of there after that. I made the mistake of disagreeing with his mom. He attacked me physically. I was dating a girl that demanded I call every day. She would hit me for sitting wrong. She once lashed out on me over a social media website that was popular in my country, Lunarstorm. You could see who went to look at your profile. She noticed that a lot of people from my hometown went to look at her profile. She was furious. She said that you should talk about me enough so that people aren't curious. Full stop. When I said wouldn't that make people more curious? Comma. She lost it and screamed at me. She also screamed at me for telling other people that a family member of mine attempted suicide before I told her. She was hot. But crazy. I broke up with her and for years later she would send me emails telling me I ruined her life. I met her on a train a couple of years later. She was with her new boyfriend. He looked like a whipped dog. My husband is clinically bipolar and can have schizophrenic tendencies. He wasn't like this until 8 years into the relationship. Suddenly all his trust in me was gone. He would have hallucinations of things that proved I was cheating. Any nice dress or makeup that I wore became a sign. His jealousy skyrocketed. He would give me the silent treatment for days and then explode in anger if he saw me chatting with a coworker. Or smiling at the store clerk. He started logging into my Google account on the home computer and would track my phone. My work was next to a restaurant. Sometimes my Google would get a little off and say I was at that restaurant and he would see that and think I must have lied to him about going to work. I was miserable. This person who I trusted with my life. My best friend. The person I made a child with suddenly turned completely against me. We agreed that he needed to go to see a doctor. And he did. And with his diagnosis I knew that he really was having psychotic episodes. Things are getting better now. Kept talking on the phone and texting his mother during the date. She died years ago. He threw me across the room by my neck. Then proceeded to threaten that he would accuse me of attacking him if I were to tell anyone. Edit. After reading the comments I thought perhaps I should add some more information here. Oh, so I have been to the police about this. They have charged him and the case is working its way through the judicial system now. Oh, so he supported his threat with self-inflicted injuries. I trust the system in my country to reveal the truth of that night and respond accordingly despite his best efforts to undermine that trust with his threats. Edit. Formatting. I'm posting from my phone. Was seeing a girl for a while I thought I really hit it off with. We were into the same stuff. Etc. But something in my gut was telling me something was off. So I broke it off and tried to remain friendly with her. Found out later from her roommates that she was playing a long con with me and was only pretending to be into everything I liked in an attempt to domesticate me. Also learned once I broke things off she got so angry she smashed a shot glass against their door. And when her roommate went to sweep it up said no. Leave it. Those are the shattered pieces of my heart. Safe to say I have no regrets and have never doubted my gut instinct since. Edit. I was the psycho. Actually. In the sense that I had a little manic psychosis and I was my poor ex's first serious relationship. Bipolar disorder at full blast is not pretty. I really hope I didn't scar her too much. We're still friends to this day, but I know I have a big disclaimer to announce if I get serious with someone again. We are sitting at a restaurant. She ordered the chicken cordon bleu. And a side of fries. She barely has taken a couple bites and she slams a fry down on the plate. She pushes the whole thing away and states, "That's not ketchup. That's catsup." Then proceeds to walk out the door. He would love himself but put everyone down one day. Hate himself and claim he didn't deserve me the next day. And become an average dude and hold my hand the day after that. I didn't become aware that this was odd, or that it was screwing me up emotionally, until my parents pointed it out months into our relationship. I'm male and she hit me on a regular basis. Love makes you not see the bad sides and just shrug stuff off. I finally saw that I needed to get out when I was crying one day on the floor. Damn, I've come a long way since then. Edit. It's so nice that this comment has got others speaking out. When I noticed an injured bird on the ground, he walked over, picked it up and threw it against a wall. I walked away and never spoke to him again. Edited to include he was laughing after the fact. Driving a girl home from a nice date. She started crying right before we got home. I asked what was wrong and her response was, "This is who I am. I'm drama." We were eating dinner at a restaurant. He got up and started yelling threats. Stuff like, "I'm gonna shoot down all of your windows." It was because he caught a waiter glancing at me. He also tried to hit me. Claimed he was younger. He hid his ID from me, I realized while later on. Lied about pretty much everything and hid and registered guns at his house. He was shady as tea. Left him after he kicked our kitten out of anger. Took the kitty with me. And young me was dumb. People assume that I don't know guns don't need registration in USA, so I have to edit. I'm not from USA and it's illegal to possess and registered weapons here. Edit 2. Changed catch to court. When he told me that he had begun to unlock the before unknown power of the universe, he began to cry as he described the day he was going to walk into the nearby children's hospital and heal on the patients. Spat on. Kicked. Punched. Hit. Degraded. Insulted. Cheated on. I was trapped as I was living with her in another country. Having moved down there to be with her. I had a job. I didn't want to leave her BC, then she wouldn't be able to pay the rent and I would be fking her over. I also couldn't just pack up all of my things and leave. Until I finally did. And just left the stuff that wasn't important. Well, it starts at the bit where the police called me and asked if I had gone out on a date with her and then named every dinner and movie we saw to her because she kept all the receipts and was trying to use me as some kind of romantic alibi. And then they asked me to check the front page of the paper and I discovered she had been accused of throwing a 4-year child out of an apartment building to her death. And that she claimed dating me showed she couldn't have done it because she no longer had feelings for the child's father. It was about then I realized she was a psycho. We meet at the bar scene. Hell, I love a good drink and she did too. I could finish a fifth of vodka in an evening and so could she. Granted, she weighed 135 pounds. She would stay the night a lot. We would jacuzzi and drink or watch movies and drink. Then I would wake up to her pouring shots at 5 AM in the bedroom. Well, I decided to reduce the amount of alcohol I had in the fridge or else she would be drinking most of the day. One morning I was out of alcohol. She demanded I take her to the store and get her a Four Loko. I was already running late for work and tried to take off. Well, she was just wearing her robe and jumped in the passenger side and wouldn't leave until I got her a Four Loko. I passed the nearby 711 and she got pissed and threw my car in park as I was going 40 miles per hour. Crazy hot scale was true on that one.